here just shy of $45,000 in 0% interest capital is you're going to get free room upgrades. So essentially, you could go out on a Saturday afternoon, pick 3 different banks, go out there, secure 50K of funding, open up accounts with them, apply for credit, one hard inquiry across all 3 credit bureaus. So that's the sweet spot. So that is the most important thing. He said he kept getting denied. He kept getting denied because he doesn't know which banks to go to, reaping in the profits. And then I was able to pay that card off. And that's truly what gave me my kind of aha moment.
Oh, let's do this. I'm
All
hyped
right,
up. I'm excited. Okay.
let's go.
Welcome, Tyler. Nice to have you here. Thank you for taking the time. For everyone who does not know Tyler already, he's an expert in traveling. He traveled the world. He knows everything about building credit in the US, not only for residents, but as well for non-US residents. And he has a lot of funding done on his personal side and business side, and got crazy amounts of funding for his clients as well, who have not been in the US. Sometimes even the funding was possible outside of the US. Sometimes it was with traveling to the US, but he's going to talk about that in a second. So amazing to have you. The stage is yours. Maybe say a couple of sentences about yourself, and then we can start with the questions.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me here, DJ. This is my field of study. This is the thing that I wake up and I breathe and I eat every day. So I'm excited to share all this information with you guys.
Nice, awesome. I appreciate that. So yeah, let's start with the first question. Why would someone actually outside of the US look into US banking, credits, all these kind of things? What is the biggest advantage someone has in US banking?
Yeah, great question. So there's over like 4,600 banks and almost 4,800 credit unions, I think, in the US. And when you have that many financial institutions all fighting to get your business, the competition, I mean, it can get pretty steep. So that means banks are willing to dish out a lot of perks and benefits in order to get your business. So there's 5 things we look at here. Number one is the US has the most diverse credit card options in the world, hands down. There's various amounts of credit cards, different types of credit cards that earn you rewards in different categories, right? You get cash back, you get paid in the form of travel rewards you can use for free travel. And, it's not good enough to just have one card in the US. You can have multiple cards because all these cards are going to pay you in different ways, on different purchases. So as an example, you might have an Amex Gold that's going to give you 4 points for every dollar you spend on dining worldwide. So every time you go to a restaurant, spend with that card. Or if you go to US supermarkets, you're going to get the 4X. You've got the American Express Platinum, where you're going to get the 5X booked with travel if you're booking flights and hotels. So, like I said, you really want to have a multitude of credit cards in your repertoire because essentially you're just increasing the ways that you're getting paid by these banks. And number 2 is generous welcome offers. And when I say generous, DJ, I mean like the best, the biggest, right? Um, just as an example, so every time you apply for a new credit card, and you are going to have the option to meet a minimum spend requirement. So just as an example, earlier this year, I got an American Express Platinum, and I think I had to spend $8,000 in the first 6 months. So pretty manageable. I mean, it's a little over $1,000 a month. Easy to put your everyday expenses on there. And when I reached that minimum spend, these guys actually gave me in a lump sum 150,000 Amex rewards. And then, of course, you can use those for free travel, and just other ways to redeem those points. So pretty powerful stuff. And the third thing, and that kind of ties in with the second one, is their travel reward system. So in the US, the travel reward system, it's second to none. I mean, they have the most transfer partners that are associated with other banks. They have attractive travel rewards programs and just different ways to redeem your points. So like I mentioned earlier, with those points, every time you spend with your credit card, these banks are going to pay you a percentage of that purchase in the form of travel rewards or cash back as well. I don't really talk about cash back that much just because, we're all about the travel. That's how you get the most value out of those points and get some pretty sweet travel experiences. And the other thing I want to tell you about with those travel rewards is, um, I come from Canada originally, and we have travel reward systems there as well. But the big thing with redeeming your points is having access to transfer partners. And so what this means is that every bank is going to have a list of airlines and hotels that they can transfer their points over to. And the magic happens. That's when you start to get the 5 and the 10x value out of your points. So there's 4 travel award banks in the US, and they absolutely have the most transfer partners associated with all of them. So just as an example, like I took a flight from Sweden to Thailand, took my wife. We got $4,200 business class flights for 160,000 points. So just a little bit more than one sign-up bonus with one credit card. So super amazing, powerful stuff. And when you start getting multiple credit cards and earning all these sign-up bonuses, you can get some pretty sweet experiences, man.
Nice.
And the other thing is just getting access to higher credit limits. I mean, the US is same thing, man. They are second to none compared to any other country in the amount of capital, the amount of credit that they're willing to issue you. As long as your credit profile's in check, you're ticking off all the boxes that they're looking for, they're willing to give you those high credit limits. So just as an example, we had a student from the United Kingdom, and when you're building credit as a non-resident, you're working your way up the ladder. Okay, you got to start from the bottom, unfortunately, and it takes a little bit of time. But the further you go along, you start to get credit limits, you start to get better cards, you start to get better perks and rewards. But this guy from the United Kingdom got $15,000 with his very first personal card. So pretty crazy. On top of that, you've got 0% interest offers. And I know this might be kind of a foreign concept to a lot of other countries. I know in Canada, we don't even have 0% interest introductory offers. We have a couple of balance transfer cards where you can kind of transfer a balance from another card over to this card and then just leave that at 0% for a certain amount of time. But I think we only have like 2 or 3 of those. So in the US, 0% interest capital credit cards is, it's the norm there. And what the sweet part about this is when you get into the business credit side of things, when you're using these cards, whether you're making them for investments, you're building or scaling your business, all that business credit utilization, it doesn't report to your credit profile on the personal side. So it doesn't affect your personal credit score, which is huge, right? So if you're in all this capital and you need a little bit of a grace period to bring in those profits, start paying off the card, you're not paying any interest on that, and it's not affecting your personal credit score. So that way you can go out there, you can still get other personal cards, you can apply for other business cards, and they're not going to see all of that utilization on that business card. Amazing, amazing opportunities there in the US. If you're investing, building, or scaling your business, you want to get access to cash and not paying any interest while you're waiting for those profits to kick in, and gives you a little bit of a grace period to pay that card off, and then you can repeat the process and just do it all over again.
Wow, that sounds like there are a lot of advantages, not only for the personal side, what you explained with traveling and all these kind of things, but as well for the business side, if I get that correct.
Absolutely, yeah. The business side's really where that's the sweet spot. I'll say that. But in order to get to that point, you have to spend a bit of time building up that personal credit profile.
Yeah, maybe let's talk about that, because let's say we have someone who's not a US resident, maybe a client of yours. What are the biggest challenges someone is facing when building that credit, that personal credit, and getting those business funding amounts on the business side, but through the personal credit building? What are the challenges someone is facing there?
Absolutely, yeah. So in the US, and I'm not saying this is just for US banking, this probably holds true with other banks in the world, but building relationships are key. When I say relationships, I don't mean like you have to take your branch manager out for dinner and drinks. I'm talking about building relationships, financial relationships, just by opening up credit accounts, just by opening up bank accounts. So, if you have a bank whose credit cards that you're interested in, maybe they have 0% interest offers that you're interested in, you want to open up an account with them because they're going to be reluctant to basically lend out credit or lines of credit to someone they don't really know. So open up accounts, build the relationship, and that's definitely going to help with getting funding later on, and especially with your business credit, because in order to open a business account in the US, you have to physically go into a branch and open a business account, with American Express being the exception. That's completely online. You can do that online from anywhere. as long as that personal credit profile is in check. And this usually holds true for most personal accounts as well. But, in our mentorship program, we have a short list of banks that allow for online account opening. And, as long as you have the right documentation order, which we help you with all of those things, we get everything in check, make sure that your credit profile looks good, and you can get those accounts. So, but where this ties in is we have a relationship with a contact at Chase that can actually open accounts over the phone. And that's exactly what we did. Mind you, this does come with a significant cost, but it gave him access to a valuable account that he was able to use to secure a $25,000 credit card at 0% interest. So that was able to help him scale his business without having to use his own money, and he didn't have to travel to the US. So
Wow.
relationships, contacts, that's going to get you a long way in this game.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's actually a very unique approach. It's the first time I hear about that's possible. What are other unique approaches you take in terms of, getting funding for your clients on the personal side or the business side?
Yeah. So I think, for someone who's new to the credit world and they just kind of have the plan of going out there and applying for credit cards at any bank, you really want to craft a strategy. And that entails knowing which banks pull your hard inquiries from which credit bureaus. So in the US, there's three major credit bureaus. You got Experian, you got TransUnion, and Equifax. Now, these are the guys that take your credit activity and create which is known as your credit score, okay? And they judge your credit worthiness on 5 categories. So number one is your payment history. That's the most heavily weighted category. That's 35% of your credit score. So that's, how often are you making on-time payments? Do you have any late payments? Do you have any collections? Do you have any negative derogatories or anything like that? And the second one is your credit utilization. And what this is basically just the amount of credit that you're using compared to the credit limits that you've been issued. And that's 30% of your credit score. Then you have credit age at 15%. How long have you had credit? Because these banks don't want to see you come in there and try to apply for credit cards when you've only had like 3 to 6 months of credit history. So that's why it's kind of important. You want to age those accounts, and you want to be able to demonstrate to these banks that you've been financially responsible for a long time. Then you have your hard inquiries, which is 10%. That's just basically how many times have you applied for new credit, all right? Then you have your credit mix, and that's 10%. And that's just basically the mixture of your credit profile. Do you have just credit cards? Do you have credit cards and auto loans? Do you have a mortgage, auto loans, credit cards? Do you have personal loans? All this stuff contributes to this part of that part of your credit score. So basically, just your overall credit activity, right? We had a client who had quite a few hard inquiries in a fairly short period of time on his Equifax profile. If you're listening out there and you're probably wondering, well, why does that make sense? Like, why would his inquiries only report to one credit bureau and not the other? And this is the beauty of the US credit system, because banks in the US report your credit activity to different bureaus. So you could have one bank that's reporting to just Equifax. You have another bank that's reporting to TransUnion and Equifax. You could have one that reports to all three. So the trick is to know who reports to who. And this all depends on what state you're in, of course. So essentially, you could go out on a Saturday afternoon, pick 3 different banks that all report to different credit bureaus, go out there, secure $50K of funding, open up accounts with them, apply for credit, and you'd only have one hard inquiry across all 3 credit bureaus. So that's the sweet spot. And that's exactly what we did. So basically, we crafted an application strategy only focused on banks that report to Experian and TransUnion, and he was able to secure just shy of $45,000 in 0% interest capital with just 2 banks. Just 2 banks.
Oh, nice.
And
that's cool.
one of them, he didn't even have to travel to the US. So hint, hint.
Cool. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe let's talk about that as well. When people want to get into US banking, what do they struggle with the most, and how do they overcome this? Because I hear a lot of people there saying, okay, I need to travel to the US, so they're struggling with that. Other are like, okay, I need to build a credit first, but I don't have any credit cards to build credit. So what are the biggest struggles someone has with building, the relationships, the US banking system for themselves? And
Yeah.
how do they overcome it?
Definitely, I would say definitely just getting your foot in the door. So most people, they don't know which banks accept people with ITN as opposed to an SSN. So that's your social security number. That's what is generated to all Americans, American citizens. And that gives them the ability to build credit and use that number on their credit card applications, right? So us foreigners, we don't have that. So we have to get what is called an ITIN. And not every bank is going to accept you just with that ITIN. So knowing which banks do accept people with that credential is crucial. That's going to save you so much time and so much effort and so much frustration. I just actually had someone the other day. He wasn't a student of mine, but he was kind of, fishing for some information. And he said he kept getting denied. He kept getting denied because he doesn't know which banks to go to, right? So that's a pretty valuable thing to know to ensure your success in this credit building journey. And the second one is knowing which banks allow you to open accounts online. So a lot of our students are foreign, they live abroad, maybe they have a property in the US or a vacation home, or, they have a friend or a family that they're staying with, and maybe they rent from them or something like that, right? Um, so they need to open up these accounts online. They can't physically get to a branch in the US. So knowing which banks allow you to do that is another crucial step, right? And the third thing is join the mentorship. We've already done all the legwork. I've crafted my own personal unique strategy that has worked for me and countless other students in the mentorship. And we know which banks you can open accounts with online. We know which banks allow you to open up accounts with your ITIN, which credit unions you can use. And of course, you need to have the right documentation for that. But we have all the resources to do that. And we've helped countless other non-residents do the same.
Nice. Yeah, maybe for anyone who's listening right now, get in touch with Tyler. He knows what he's doing. He's an expert on his field. Get in touch with him, get more information, and maybe start working with him if you like what he's doing, because we'll definitely help you. Nice, nice.
My doors are open, man. My doors are open.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, let's continue with a couple of more questions. So to dive a little bit more deeper in the topic, because I think there are a lot of things people have in mind in terms of what they should do, what they don't need to do. So where should someone start? I think you mentioned that a little bit earlier, with looking for the right banks, but where should someone start? Like with the very first step, and what was kind of like your first step, your first credit card, you started
Yeah.
with yourself?
Yeah. So first thing is, and this is a non-negotiable, you got to have a U.S. residential address. If you can't provide a residential address on your applications, you won't even be able to complete that accreditation. So that is the most important thing. That is the one thing that we, at this point can't provide you. So you have to come with that. Secure a U.S. address. And it has to be a residential address. I know a lot of people have used virtual addresses in the past. Banks are getting pretty hip to that. They do have ways to see if your address is in a residential zone or if it's in a commercial zone. So, you might be able to squeak by. Maybe you get one credit account with one bank. But if you're in this for the long run, and I hope you are, because building credit takes time, and the fruit of your labors and the mass of your benefits are going to come towards the end of your journey, I'll say. Not the end, because it never stops, but you want to be in this for the long run because you're going to get the best results later on down the road. And then the second thing is just having that ITN, because if you don't have the ITIN, you have nothing to build credit with, right? You need to be able to report all your credit activity, your payment history, your age of accounts, all that stuff that those credit bureaus are judging your credit worthiness on. And yeah, I mean, it's going to give you a lot of the same perks and benefits as someone with a social security number. And then third thing is, seek mentorship, get coaching, get coaching from someone who's been through the process before. I mean, this is going to save you so much time and so much frustration and all that uncertainty of not knowing whether or not you're going through the right processes and attacking the right steps. I mean, whether that's from me or from someone else, find someone that you resonate with, find someone that you have great communication with, and it's going to help you along your journey quite immensely.
Nice.
So, in order to stay up to date with these types of things, like banks are always changing the rules. They're always changing their application rules. They're always changing the cards and the types of benefits they have. and what the requirements are. I mean, there's enough resources online that if you get on Google, you search all these things up, you're going to find tons of like credit bloggers out there that are always reporting all the latest up-to-date um, information in this space.
Okay, interesting, interesting. And I want to ask you something in terms of credit cards, because I think that's a huge part of getting funding through credit cards, because they have these different offers with traveling and all these different things. What is kind of the most creative way you saw out there, either using for yourself or other people doing, in terms of using credit cards for increasing their travel experience, business funding, whatever? What was the most creative way you saw someone using credit cards in terms of getting funding and benefits?
Oh, hey, I didn't tell you my first US card yet.
Oh,
Hold on.
true.
Yeah.
Maybe we can tie that together. Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah, for sure. First US credit card was the American Express Blue Cash. And
nice.
the funny thing is that my very first credit card in the US, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, usually you go into a building stage. As foreigners and non-US residents, we're in there and we're starting from the bottom. So we have to work our way up. You're not going to get in there and get high credit limits right away. You're not going to get the best credit cards right off the bat. But the first card I got on the personal side was actually a 0% interest card. So really surprising to me. And, I didn't really have any plans for this card at that point because it was on the personal side. And you don't really want to get into investing with your personal credit cards just because of the fact that even though it's 0%, you're going to save on all that interest. You're still going to have high credit utilization because you're going to be using a lot of your credit limit, right? So if you use all that, it's going to affect your personal score. And that's, we don't want that, especially when you're in that building phase. So that's kind of why you want to squeak over to those business cards, get all your credit utilization off the personal side and into the business side, right? So that was my first card. And a side note, why I love the US credit game is that when I had a Canadian Amex, that was a 3-month-old account, the credit limit these guys gave me, and I'd had credit with them for like 15 years, right? Was $2,200. $2,200. So, probably enough to cover all my expenses for the month, but nothing, that could help me make any investments or anything like that. And it wasn't 0% interest. But when I transferred my relationship from Amex from Canada over to the US, the first card they gave me was actually an $8,000 limit. So, almost a 4x difference in the credit limit.
Yeah.
So definitely higher credits in the US, lots more opportunity, and more variety of cards.
That's already a creative way to use credit cards. So because you used your Canadian card, the Amex Platinum one, and transferred it to the American Amex one, which was the blue one. That's already creative. Nice. Let's give our audience another example of a creative way to use credit cards.
So the most common ways I see it, DJ, is like, real estate, people doing fix and flips, scaling e-commerce stores. That's pretty common. But the most unique way I've seen it being utilized, and I learned this from a mentor of mine actually, is he was actually taking 0% interest capital. So when he was first starting out, the limits that he was getting weren't grand. So, let's say maybe he got like 10K on a card. You might have a business opportunity you can use 10K with. Maybe it's not enough, right? So instead of manufactured spending is basically when you fake buy something in order to meet a minimum spend, in order to liquidate a credit card, you get the cash off the card. That way you have to use it for your investments. Instead of using that 10K to invest into something, he was actually just taking that money, cashing it out, and he was using it to season other bank accounts with other banks. Because banks, they have bank ratings that they give to their personal clients. And, this isn't something that they make publicly available. They're rating you based on how many deposits you're putting into this account. They're rating you on how much money you have in the account. So he was actually just using their own 0% capital, putting it into another bank account, seasoning that account, putting some money in there. And that way he could go in there and apply for funding with that bank and get higher limits. So pretty creative, man. I think that takes a lot of patience. A lot of people are just eager to get out there and put that money to work, but he had a bigger picture, and it allowed him to get a lot more capital, 0% interest.
Nice. I like that. I like that approach.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Instead of being happy or using the 10K straight away, use it to get more capital, where we can actually, like, business wise, get more out of it at the same time.
Exactly. And he was delaying instant gratification. That's what he was doing.
That's good. That's good. I think that's very important in terms of I see this across, like all industries, like in business, in fitness, in relationships, being to say maybe no in that moment, but like having the bigger picture ahead and knowing what you really care
Gotta have the
about.
vision, man. Gotta have the vision.
100%. No, I like that. I like that. Now that's cool. And let's talk about a few of your travel experience, because you travel the whole world. You've seen quite a few things out there. What are one of the most unforgettable travel experience you were able to have through travel hacking points, however you want to call it, with your credit cards?
Yeah. I've taken quite a few trips in the last couple of years, but I'll say, my first real experience using points. My wife and I were in Estonia. We traveled to the capital. We were in Tallinn, and we booked a Hilton hotel. And this was actually when I was filming my course. And she was in the room, and I was making a lesson on how to, use your points to book hotels. And because she was beside me, I'd said, "Oh yeah, we're booking the standard king room," but really I was booking a nice suite there. And when we got there, it was incredible, man. I mean, it was so grand, and just I felt so accomplished that I was able to do this because of all the years of hard work building up this credit, and now I was able to enjoy some of the fruits of the labor. So anyways, we got this suite, floor to ceiling windows. I think it was like 800 square feet, this place, full size living room, huge bedroom. Bathroom was like, I've never had a bathroom this big in any of my houses growing up. And it actually had a full-size sauna in the room. I actually have a YouTube video on this where I kind of walk through the whole place and show you the whole place, top to bottom, how I got the room, how I used the points. And yeah, pretty incredible experience. But the first real luxury experience I had was I didn't even use points for this. I actually used just the perks and benefits of the American Express Platinum Card. So every Platinum member has access to what we call the Fine Hotels and Resorts program. And you also get a $200 annual travel credit that you can use. So we booked this place. It was in Poland. It was in Warsaw, Poland. It was called Raffles Hotel, super luxury brand. And when you book with these fine hotels, you get an array of benefits. So you get a $100 on-site experience credit. So that's just extra money that you can use, say at the hotel lounge, lobby bar, if they have a spa or something like that, you want to get a few treatments for you and the wifey. You're going to get free breakfast for two. And if you've ever been in any of these luxury hotels, like the breakfasts there are incredible, man. They usually have world-renowned chefs. It's something. It's grand, right? So I think those were valued around 35 US a piece. So right there, just from breakfast, we had like $150, give or take, savings. Then you get early check-in, you get late checkout. So you can check in at, so I mean, if you have a late flight or if you have an early flight, you're coming in, you're getting off the plane, you can't check into your hotel till 3 p.m. usually, right? So this just means you can go there, relax. It's almost like having an extra day. You're going to get that late checkout 4 p.m. And the best part is you're going to get free room upgrades. So we utilized all these benefits without using any points, and we saved over $800 on this visit.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Incredible.
Well, you say without using points. So like there were just like another benefit of using travel cards, but like without any points, 0 points.
Exactly.
All the benefits.
Exactly. I mean, all these cards have different benefits, right? So this is something that was unique to the Platinum card with American Express, and you'll get these things every time you book with them. And of course, that annual travel credit, that's an annual thing. But So
Nice.
just in that stay alone, I think, the annual fee of that platinum card is $695. So right away, I saved over $800. I already beat the annual fee, and I'm still collecting points, and I still got 5x points for booking the hotel, right? So pretty incredible stuff.
But maybe let's give our audience a small nugget here, secret. How can they apply the strategy? Let's say they already have a relationship with Amex, they have the platinum card, maybe in their home country, maybe already in the US. What's an easy way to apply the secret to get the benefits of the platinum card? Because I think you don't get them straight away. They are not like, here, you get all those benefits. I think you need an extra step to get them. Um, how does someone get them? And um, yeah, how do they do it?
Yeah. So the perks and benefits, you're going to get those as soon as you get the card. That's attached with the card, that's married to the card. Um, the points you're not going to get right away. If you're getting a big sign-up bonus, you have to hit that minimum spend requirement first. Like I said, with the platinum, you had to hit the 8K spend in 6 months. Super easy to do. But the real secret sauce with these points is points transferring. Hands down, that is the number one thing that all travel hackers do. When you see these guys getting the first class flights and all these luxury hotel stays, and they're telling you they only paid $200, that's because they're transferring their points. And what that means is basically, like I said, you earn these points every time you make a purchase. You'll get a percentage of that purchase in the amount in the form of travel rewards. And then you can go onto your bank's travel portal. So I go on AmericanExpress.com, I'll sign into my account, and then you can click on the little travel button there, and you can book hotels with them. This is where you'll find that Fine Hotels and Resorts program. And you can use your points on that platform to book hotels, to book air flights. But the real secret sauce is transferring those points. And what I mean by that is taking your points. So let's say you have 150,000 points in your Amex portal and you want to fly with, say, Air Canada. You're just going to make a free account with Air Canada with Aeroplan. You're going to connect the two accounts, super simple to do. Open up that account with Air Canada. They're going to give you an account number. You just put that into the American Express platform. And then you can, with the click of a button, transfer the points over to Aeroplan and then book using Aeroplan's platform. And this is when you start to get that magic. You start to get the 5-10x return on your points, right?
Nice,
So
nice.
I'll give you an example. I'm in Thailand right now. I flew my wife and I here from Sweden to Bangkok. And I looked it up before I booked the flights. If I were to use the points on the MX travel portal, it would have cost 360,000 points. But because I transferred these points over to Aeroplan and I booked a Thai Airways flight because Thai Airways is a partner with Air Canada, this is a rabbit hole, DJ. The travel hacking thing is a rabbit hole. So I booked that flight, transferring the points, and we actually got those flights for 160,000 points. And I think we paid like $200 in taxes and fees. And that's a $4,200 flight. So between the two of us, $4,200, and we paid $200 for that. So transferring your points, that's the sauce. If you don't learn anything in my Travel Rewards Mastery course, out of the 90 lessons in there, you don't learn a thing other than transferring your points, you're going to 1,000x your return compared to what you're going to spend on that course for sure.
Nice. That's good. That's good. Nah, I like that. That's cool. And maybe let's circle back to, why did you start this journey? Like, what made you interested in building credit yourself? Using all those travel things. Obviously, it's nice for the experience. But what made you start it for yourself, and then I'll decide for you to teach it to other people? To share your message.
Yeah.
To build a program. What made you start all that?
Opportunity, man. I always say go where you're treated best. And if you can't go there, just do what I did.
Nice.
So, growing up in Canada, we didn't have these kind of financial opportunities and, 0% interest credit cards and all that. And, to be honest with you, I didn't even know they existed. But I was working a job at this time that I was really not happy to be at. I was making good money and everything, but I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So I was always looking for new ways to make money, looking for little side hustles, trying to figure out how I can build something and get me the hell out of there. And, that meant having freedom of choices, freedom of location, and uncapped income. So I recognized I needed help. This was something I knew, but I just didn't really know who to turn to. I mean, you would always see these online entrepreneurs, making tons of money, or at least showing you that they're making tons of money, driving the Lambos, all that stuff, right? Um, but I really didn't know who I could trust, right? I always say people can tell you what you want to hear. They can show you what you want to see. But if you watch someone long enough, that's when you can start to see the patterns that they portray. All right. So finally, I took the plunge. I committed to a mentorship program. It was an Airbnb arbitrage course, and I was super excited to dive into this thing. It was basically something where you go and you were trying to rent people's properties, and you just turn around and rent them out on Airbnb, right? So I went to my first property. It was a huge house. It was like a 6-bedroom house near a ski resort. And the cash flow this thing would have brought in after I did all the research was like 11K a month. So I was pumped for this place. But yeah, yeah. But I got denied. I went there and I presented myself, and then I think there was some zoning restrictions with Airbnbs there. But it was a blessing in disguise, man, because this was right around just before COVID happened. And the travel industry got hit the hardest, right? So
Yeah.
if I would have got stuck with this property, no one's booking these places, it would have crushed me financially, straight up.
Yeah.
It would have crushed me. Um, but anyways, during this mentorship, and this is why I say jump into mentorships, meet other people, network with people, find people that are like-minded, and it's going to take you a long way. You're going to receive opportunities that maybe you wouldn't have if you're just kind of being that lone wolf, trying to figure everything out on your own. But through that mentorship or that coaching program, there was actually a collaboration with another US credit guy. So they had come together and they made a program where they were going to get people 0% interest capital, and they were going to help you find a property, Airbnb, set up the Airbnb, and it looked attractive. But the kicker was I was on the sales call, I was listening to the whole presentation. At the end, they said, look, this is only going to be available for Americans. And the price to get in was like 25K. It was 25K. And I just said, screw it, man. Like, I just didn't accept no for an answer. I went there and I pleaded my case to them. I said, look, let me into this program. Let's give it a try. And, you guys could use me as a guinea pig and see if we can, get access to non-residents to this stuff. It did work out in the end, obviously, because I'm here telling you my story. But it wasn't because of the mentorship, because I think I only got like 4 weekly coaching calls. And when you're building credit as a non-US resident, this is like a 12-month process, right? You have to start from the bottom, you have to work your way up. And, the fruits of your labor is like, building credit is a compounding effect. So you start out low, and the more you go along, you start getting higher credit limits, you start getting better cards, cards are giving you higher minimum credit limits. That's when you really start to see that compounding effect. That's when banks will start lending you 5, 10, 15K on a single application on the personal side, right? So long story short, the program got squashed because these guys in the US, if your credit profile's in check in the US, you can get credit, you can get business funding in like 30 to 60 days. And that's just not the case for us foreigners, right? We have to take time. We're going to get all those benefits at the end, but you have to set that foundation and build yourself up. Like I said, the program got squashed and I was pretty much left to my own devices. I think I made like a $5,000 deposit for this course, and then you had to pay the other 20K when you got the business funding, but they squashed it. So that's when I truly became a student of the game, man. That's when I went out there and I started learning everything on my own. I started going through all the trial and error. Made a lot of mistakes, had a lot of success as well. But in the end, I had to do it myself. So
Now you're here teaching
yeah, now
other
we're here,
people,
right?
did all the lessons yourself, went through the process.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that.
And
I like that.
my first taste of the possibilities with 0%. This is what really kind of sparked my real interest in this was, I was dipping my toes into the drop shipping world, right? Very saturated market at the time, but I thought I'd give it a try. And, I had a great product. I was making sales, but in order for me to get the prices I wanted to really increase that profit range, I had to make a huge order, right? So the volume that I was ordering was super low, and I just, I wanted to increase those profit margins. So in order to do this, I had to spend like $8,000 on this order. And at that time, me trying to get out of this job, I was making a lot of side investments. I was big into the crypto at the time. I was making a lot of long-term investments. So $8,000 just wasn't in the wallet. And I had just gotten that 0% interest card. And like I said, I had no plans to use that for any sort of investments. But I did. I took the risk. And that gave me the ability to purchase that order so I could start bringing in those higher profits. And that's just something, where I was able to bridge the gap between purchasing my product and reaping in the profits. And then I was able to pay that card off. And that's truly what gave me my kind of aha moment. And that's when I realized, man, like I got to help other people doing this. Like I got to show non-residents that this is possible. And that's why I created what I created. And that's why US Credit Accelerator is such a passion of mine.
Awesome. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So maybe to round this up, how can get someone in touch with you, and keep up to date with the process? So, where to start, get in touch with you, keep up to date with the process.
Yeah.
What would you recommend?
Yeah. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm super heavy posting there. That's kind of my main platform. I started to get into YouTube more, but I'm at Zero Card Mastery on all platforms. I'm always posting daily credit tips, daily travel hacks, things that you're probably not going to see or hear of in the mainstream.
Yeah.
And, in order to get started, like I said, you got to have that US address. That's first and foremost, absolutely non-negotiable. And, you need your ITIN. And if you don't already have one, my company can assist you in that. We have a partnership with an IRS certified acceptance agent who basically takes care of all that process for you. And, you can do it yourself, but I do encourage people to always use a professional service, just because if you have, it already takes 6 to 12 weeks to get this thing, processed. So if you have any errors on that application, you're just going to further delay your process, and, it's going to take you a lot longer to start building credit. So, our 6-month mentorship program, it's a comprehensive US credit education course, strictly geared toward foreigners and non-US residents. We also have like a full travel rewards course in there, which covers all the major travel reward banks and their systems, and, how to earn the most points, how to maximize the value of those points, how to get those business first-class flights for free or damn near, and just super valuable program. And, the best part of this mentorship is that you're going to have one-on-one coaching with me. And that means you're going to be working with someone who's been through the process, who's been through all the hoops and hurdles, made all the mistakes so you don't have to. And it's just going to save you a lot of time and a lot of frustration and uncertainty.
Nice, nice. So yeah, if you want to get in touch with Tyler, see in the description. We were going to link everything there. And reach out to him, ask him a couple of questions, start working with him, and get your credit built up. Start building your credit in the US. Awesome.
Let's go. The sooner you start, the better.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, let's talk soon.
Cool, DJ. I appreciate you having me.